Welcome into Sport and Order. It is a Monday afternoon. It is 5 Eastern. It is 4 Central. And that means that we are here for you with 7 big questions on the board and 2 amazing contestants. All right. Gabrielle Starr making her debut on Sport and Order, one of the recent acquisitions by FanSided. Of course, Gabrielle is an incredible person across the landscape here of sports. And Gabrielle, welcome to Sport and Order for your first time. Founder, girls at the game, the whole deal. Welcome to Sport and Order, Gabrielle.
Thank you so much. That was a far too kind introduction.
I always like to go over the top here. Everybody should be reading the Philly site as well. That ball's out of here. Adam Weinrib, welcome back to Sport and Order. The Yanks Go Yard page, the podcast, Sports Fire Pod, writer, editor, FanSided extraordinaire. This is an East Coast battle. Welcome, Adam.
Thanks for having me. I felt like that intro was on par with Gabrielle's. It's close. It's a wonder to be here. I'm excited to compete.
I went a little over the top today on the intros, but hey, I feel good about it. Hopefully it'll play well in the Sport and Order, viewing pleasure for you on this Monday. All right, 7 questions on the board as per always. 1st to 4 is your winner of Sport and Order. 30 seconds to answer each question. We got a bunch of baseball for you today, a lot of NBA playoffs, and we are going to start with the NCAA. Gabrielle, since it is your first time, you are going to get to go first. We will alternate who goes first the rest of the way. All right. NCAA and the Supreme Court are having a moment in time that I think they're going to remember. The Supreme Court ruling that the NCAA is not above the law, which is paving the way for student athletes to ultimately be paid. This argument has been going on forever. The NCAA's remaining compensation rules should receive, quote, ordinary rule of reason scrutiny under the antitrust laws. This is big. Change is definitely coming. I'm asking, what will the NCAA look like in 5 years? That's obviously not going to happen overnight. But, Gabrielle, let's go down the line. What do you see for college athletics in the future?
You know, honestly, this isn't my area of expertise, but I will say that the fact that this ruling has even been brought down is so momentous because student athletes, anyone who is making money for their school, deserves to take part in that money. I mean, it's criminal that this has gone on so long. I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is my favorite NBA player of all time. He's been talking about this literally for decades. He's written about it in his books. The NCAA, though, they are going to drag their heels as much as possible. They are not going to want to relinquish money to anybody, even though they're the reason that the NCAA is making the money in the first place. And my only hope is that 5 years from now, they actually have finally started to pay out money, and that hopefully this paves the way for more of this kind of justice in terms of the minor leagues, in terms of more equality between like women's and men's college sports. I just hope that this is the beginning of a really great turnaround for students in this country.
There are a lot of edges right there that she's touching on, and there is many ways that we can make things better on the college equity pay scale here, obviously, or even pay scale is even the wrong word because we haven't gotten there yet. Adam, what do you think we're going to see in 5 years?
Yeah, it hurts. I mean, based on Mark Emmert's dismissive response to all this, where he focused on how the 8 other justices didn't sign on to Brett Kavanaugh's stunning rebuke, I wonder what exactly would cause the NCAA to change their ways, right? He's already being obstinate. But like the justice said, price-fixing labor is price-fixing labor. And I'm not sure the organization can run from this for that much longer, as much as they might want to. There will need to be different levels set commensurate with the income the athletes generate for their universities, sure. But once the doors open, and it seems like that opening began today, the NCAA will no longer be able to pay its players in textbooks in 5 years.
Okay, so neither of you are really saying that anything is going to change.
Sorry, we're realistic.
Which I think change is coming here, but let's see here. I think to me, what's most interesting here is what's going to go on with if there will be a delineation between revenue sports and non-revenue sports. Gabrielle, have you touched on that at least a little bit? So I'm going to award you the first point here on Sport in Order for just bringing the multiple dimensions that are going to have to occur for them to figure this out. So 1-0. Gabrielle is on the board. Adam, you're up. Baseball is asking, as we go to the world of the sticky fingers and spin rate, baseball is asking major league umpires to, in essence, be the enforcers of their new sticky substance policy, which starts today. And a lot of debate on whether they did this right, the timing of it especially. But I'm just asking, was this the best way for MLB to actually enforce their new stricter rules to clean back up the game? The umpires on the ground being asked to do it. Adam, did baseball get this right?
We need robot sticky stuff umpires now. No, I still can't believe we're doing this in the middle of the season, but I guess that's the move. If MLB wants to liven up the action, the funniest way possible for them to do this would be to have the umpires cue up a big drum roll, do a grandiose pat on the mound before the game, TSA style, right before the first pitch, and then give a big old thumbs down or a thumbs up whether the pitcher passes. Imagine the boos at Yankee Stadium if a game's about to start and Garrett Cole just gets ejected and you have to watch him wander away. It may be even better to do it in the clubhouse before the game, though. So occasionally a random pitcher just shows up on the mound for first pitch and everyone in the stands is like, oh, I guess that guy was cheating. Cool. It has to be the umpires, but make it theatrical.
Okay. So yes, but let's get some entertainment in here. All right, Gabrielle, what do you think?
I mean, I largely agree with Adam here. For starters, what a bummer that it's the first day of summer and we're just enforcing this new rule that gives umpires even more unfettered power than they already have. I mean, Angel Hernandez is already drunk off his butt on power every single day of his entire umpiring career. And now we're going to put him in charge of whether or not a pitcher is allowed to make their start or screw over their entire team. So I agree. The sticky substances policy should probably be at least partially put into effect in the way of, you have pitchers coming out and saying, well, a Rosenbag's not enough. I need something to actually make contact with that. I can't just dry powder doesn't do anything if my hand is not that's not how it works. To do it in the middle of the season, cold turkey is unfair to the pitchers. You're already seeing people getting hurt. And also to have umpires be in charge. I don't remember if it was Cole or Glass now or somebody else, but one of the marquee stars in the American League said, who is an umpire to be the one in charge of this? Where is the expertise coming from? It's just that they literally don't know how to enforce their own policy. So I think that this is going to be an absolute disaster, but at the same time, it gives me and Adam a lot of content for our websites because that this is going to be an absolute bleep show almost immediately, starting probably tonight.
See, this is you both sort of teed up what the key thing is. They're not trained to do this.
Nobody is.
Well,
What
right,
is
but
this?
we need. This is what I'm talking about. We need the sticky substance umpire. This is a new position. Baseball created it. Let's get them all across the game. People need work right now. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Why not create a new position? And listen, instead, we're just going to ask, as Gabrielle put it, Angel Hernandez to go out there. But Gabrielle, you were resigned to this. I think there is possible change. Adam, I think I'm actually resonating with you the most here. And let's just make it theatrical and have it be fun and make it entertaining because baseball does need some entertainment, at least at times.
They could have just not unjuiced the balls, and then we wouldn't be having this conversation in the first place.
There's that too. I don't want that either. But Adam, you get the point. 1-1 as we are off to question 3, and let's go on the field and see what perhaps it's going to look like at the end of the season. The trade winds are starting to swirl around. Names are being thrown out. Needs for numerous teams who are in contention are being underlined, including in Chicago, where they need a second baseman for the White Sox. But a lot of options out there. I'm asking which contender needs to make a move at the deadline to secure their spot at the top of baseball. Gabrielle, you're up.
All right, so I have a few. I've got the Red Sox, obviously, the Giants, the White Sox, the Mets, the Cubs, and maybe the Rays. But at this point, it's not looking so great for them, especially with Glass now hurt and just the fact that, they called up Wander Franco, which on the one hand, he's the number 1 rated prospect. But on the other hand, I've watched the Red Sox call up guys top prospects in the past, and it's usually because they need them, not because the prospect is ready necessarily. I think it's probably going to be the Giants who make the most moves just to kind of bolster a team that's already a big surprise this season. You know, they really want to knock the Dodgers out of the division spot for the first time in almost a decade, maybe a decade. I've lost track at this point. I'm personally hoping the Red Sox kind of upgrade their bullpen. You know, nobody expected anything from them this year, but since they've been so good, and they have guys like Xander Bogaerts and JD for, you know, hopefully a while longer, but you never know with the way that they've been behaving. Do it now. You're already winning. Do it now. Let's go. Come on. All in, baby. Full send.
All right. It's the Boston Red Sox, I think, at the top with San Francisco. Adam, what do you got?
Oh, my God. The Yankees need so much help. Oh, sorry. You said contender. Never mind. What happened to the White Sox in Houston this weekend proves they either need more offense or a buzzer system. And with Nick Madrigal down for the year, they're going to want to get on that quickly, like you said. Luckily, they're already in talks with the Diamondbacks for Eduardo Escobar, which I love. Whoever gets to the Arizona carcass early is going to have a big advantage. And Escobar is a great fit in Chicago and should be their first of a few moves to reinforce that offense. Also, there are like 5 or 6 players on Arizona I really like as trade options. So how are they possibly so bad? They're so bad.
They're better than your team.
Yeah,
in terms of runs, anyway.
Yeah. Oops.
So, okay. So the Chicago White Sox, number 1, or else they're going to fall apart. See, the Sox are in a position, I think, of strength just because of the division. But if we're talking about winning the World Series,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and it's
Chris
been
Sale's on his way back, though. I will say he's throwing hard here in Worcester.
Right, which would add on to the Red Sox not needing as much help as the White Sox, perhaps. Although the Sox are going to get players back too. Adam, I'll lean towards you on this one because I do think the weekend was just underlined with Houston that the White Sox perhaps, and also their pitching, by the way, has pitched way over where they're going to be. I don't think that's going to sustain. So as far as going deep in the playoffs, I think the Sox are a good answer. So we'll make it 2-1 with Adam up here in question 4 as we move to the NBA. And wow, Game 7 Saturday night, the Nets and the Bucks was awesome entertainment. I loved it. Many thought that this was going to be the year for Brooklyn, especially after the Lakers were eliminated. But, of course, the Nets were pretty banged up. I'm asking the question, are blaming injuries a cop-out, actually, for why the Nets are now out of the playoffs? Adam, what do you think?
On behalf of all Knicks fans, let me just say, oh no, I'm not happy the Nets. I'm not happy the Nets suffered ill-timed injuries, but it was nice to see the sports gods treat them like any other franchise. Injuries happen along the way for most teams and even to superstars. And even though Kyrie and James Harden's issues were the inciting incidents for Brooklyn's season to end, it is still a cop-out to blame injuries for that ending coming early because a championship-level team led by Kevin Durant and with the momentum of that Game 5 win should have enough on the roster to push past a flawed Bucks team. That was an indictment on the roster building, especially if Joe Harris is going to be that in the clutch. Building a big 3 lays your cupboard bare, and that's what happened to Brooklyn because sometimes injuries do occur.
Adam underlining the roster building. Gabrielle, what do you think?
I mean, look, as a Celtics fan, also Kyrie, so sad, really. But I mean, look, the injury, I'm not making fun of injuries. That's never okay. But in terms of not having to see the Nets go all the way this year, that was kind of nice, especially since the Celtics dealt with so many injuries of their own. I don't think that saying injuries, were a factor or a main factor is a cop-out at all because it's literally the facts of the case. I mean, look, teams are tired from the bubble. So many players got hurt. All of these teams that were in the playoffs last year, Lakers, Nuggets, Celtics, Heat, that all went deeper into the playoffs during the bubble none of them made it past like the first round this year. That speaks to tiredness and injury. And when you have a guy like Harden playing hurt and you have Kyrie down for the count, not playing at all, and it's all on KD, I mean, what are you going to do? I don't really know what else to say. What are you going to do?
So, okay, this is interesting because in general, I'm more with Adam in that the roster construction was terrible, but you have to have some complementary pieces. However, at the end of the day, if they were healthy, that was the biggest reason. So I can't say it's a cop-out, and Gabrielle is leaning that way. So as much as I want to say, like, if you had just gotten, by the way, Adam Ryan, if Derrick Rose was on the Nets and not on the Knicks, the Nets would still be playing, and you could have had him for nothing, but they didn't do it. But ultimately, the injuries were, I guess, what sunk Brooklyn. It's still annoying. So, Gabrielle, you get the point. 2-2. It's not a cop-out. It is the facts. Brad Stevens, as we go to the Boston Celtics, I know this one is very interesting for you, Gabrielle, big Celtics fan. He's making an immediate impact. It's going to be right or wrong, but Boston has traded Kemba Walker to Oklahoma City. They're getting some financial flexibility. They're getting one of their heroes back in Al Horford. They're getting a very aggressive Brad Stevens here, even though, Kemba, I guess, is getting a little bit past his prime, but very, very aggressive start here. Did Stevens make the right move in his first move? What do you think?
As much as it pains me to say it, I do think he made the right move for a couple of reasons. I mean, for starters, Kemba is like basically my favorite current NBA player, not named Giannis. So I'm just going to put that out there. But Kemba had bad luck here. I went to a ton of Celtics games before COVID hit, and he was really good before he got hurt. He was a huge reason that they were so good before the pandemic. And then he got hurt. And like we said, injuries, you can't call them a cop-out. It impacted his time here. And it got to the point where there was a breakdown of team chemistry. There was not, I'm not going to say bad blood, but the stories that are coming out right now, Kemba, it was time for the two parties to walk away before it got acrimonious. And Kemba didn't really want to be here anymore. Brad Stevens obviously wants to make a splash in his new role. And with the talent that they still have right now, Tatum and Brown, when he comes back, and hopefully Marcus Smart and the other younger guys, this is a team that should be making big moves to get back to the playoffs for next year. And bringing back Horford, who already has a really good relationship with these young guys, helped make them into the players that they are now and is so beloved here. That is great. I mean, I feel like we're all prioritizing in all sports right now younger players, but having that veteran presence who knows what it feels like to win and has helped make your players better, you can't discount kind of that team chemistry angle. And Horford is a great return in that specific way, as well as just the fact that he has been really good for Boston. And not to mention his sister is a friend of mine, and I'm really happy that she's going to be back. So
the personal touch. Yeah. Adam, what do you think here with the old Celtics and the new man in charge, Brad Stevens?
Yeah, I'm just not sure what this was. I don't have any, there's nothing wrong with it. Reports say that Kemba's contract was so toxic that he really did require a first rounder to be attached to him to get the deal done. Isn't Horford's contract also not good? I guess it does come down to the chemistry aspect in that case. Horford's contract feels worse on the surface. I feel like I can't judge Stevens accurately until his next move, though. This one felt so weird. It feels like the trade you have to get out of the way before you actually go about revamping the roster. If the final, yeah, that's what I mean. If the final 2022 Celtics is just getting rid of Kemba, trading Tristan, and extending Evan Fournier, then I'm not sure if that's how you round this roster into God tier. Although if it doesn't work out, maybe you could just promote Brad Stevens again. Is there a level above GM?
Yeah, right. I think he has reached the top, but maybe he gets a seat next to Red on one of the, benches around the old. What is it now? TD Ameritrade. I miss Boston Garden.
Yeah, make him lucky. Put his face on the leprechaun mask. I don't know.
So Kyrie can step on him.
Oh yeah, wow, exactly. That's a double Kyrie angry moment in time that
I was really not happy about the booing. I was honestly, at this point, it's really tired and really gross that you're screaming "F you, Kyrie" for an entire game. I said it on Twitter. I'll say it again right now. But I also his teammates weren't the ones, and the franchise wasn't the one. He's the one that chose to leave. So doing that to the logo just felt like you're directing it at the wrong thing for me. But he's entitled to feel pissed off. I mean, it can't be fun to try and do your job when you have people screaming at you like that. I think it's gross. It
was a bad job by Kyrie without question. On my judgment on this particular question, I'm giving points to Gabrielle for leaning into her favorite player being gone, and credit to Brad Stevens knowing that, hey, bringing Al Horford back in here and saving me some money and giving us a little bit of veteran leadership that's been missing. I think the Celtics perhaps are taking a painful step back talent-wise for a win in the chemistry department. So, and trusting Brad Stevens, I think, is overall probably a good choice at this point. There's no reason not to. So, Gabrielle, giving you the point and the lead, 3-2-1 away, 2 more coming here. And we're going where the boos were coming down in Game 7 last night as the Sixers bow out, and Ben Simmons was absolutely positively atrocious in this series and was afraid to shoot a layup. Now, the contract is ugly for the Sixers, $145 million roughly over the next 4 years he's owed. What does Philadelphia do with Ben Simmons right now? Adam, there are no easy answers. What do you think is the best play for the Sixers?
I hate this person. I hate watching this person. I think in large part because Joel Embiid really is generationally good. And yet we're making excuses for Simmons in the context of Embiid. Like, oh, Embiid only really got good at shooting threes recently. Like, sorry, we need the punishing 7-footer to shoot 40% from range to cater to the point guard who's afraid to dunk and doesn't know what hand to shoot with. Like, get him out of here. Transition opportunities don't exist in the playoffs when the defense is good. Maybe you flip Simmons to Oklahoma City with a pick for your boy Kemba Walker. He's a better clutch guard than what his Boston reputation dictates, or maybe to Toronto for Kyle Lowry. I don't know, but somebody's got to orchestrate that Philly offense who isn't scared. Ben Simmons has shown me nothing.
Gabrielle, Adam's got him on the move.
I mean, I agree, honestly. I mean, for starters, look, Doc Rivers has his own really bad playoff series. It's like, 29 losses now with a chance to clinch. That's like the most in NBA history for a head coach. So obviously that's like a separate issue. And Philly knew that when they got him, when they hired him to lead this team. So that's a separate conversation. But look, you could pay me to do what Ben Simmons did in the fourth quarter of the last 6 or 7 games. And I would probably have comparable stats. And that's really saying something because I have a bum wrist and I'm 5'6" and I'm very bad at basketball. I don't think that this guy is going to be able to get it done on this team anymore. And I hear it from Rivers saying last night that he didn't have an answer if Simmons could be a title winning point guard. Like, when your coach is saying that about you, that is a situation that is very hard to come back from. Like, based on, I hate to sound like a TikTok kid, but vibes only. Simmons is going to need a change of scenery. He's going to need people to work with him on whatever the heck. He's the most opposite of clutch I have ever seen. If he's the anti-David Ortiz of the 76ers. I don't even know. I watched part of that game and I was just like, is this man okay? This guy needs to be traded. The Sixers can get something for him. I mean, look, he has talent. Obviously, he's a 3-time All-Star. He can get it done, but I think he needs a change of scenery.
So on the move, listen, I think the biggest thing is that which your guys are teeing up here, there's got to be some help on the mental side for Ben. Clearly, no shame in that, but I think it has to be addressed. But we are looking for a team that perhaps would be creative and willing to do that. Adam, you named Oklahoma City, which is a franchise that will do bold things. So you're naming an option that I think is actually perhaps viable. I don't know if they're giving up Kemba to get him, but other bad contracts could be moved. I love Dallas for him. Anybody, Kristaps Porzingis, you don't want to be there.
I'm thinking Bulls.
The Bulls have nobody that's paid that much dough. You got to make money work here. So it's going to be, but I don't know. It's tough. I think he's going to end up in Philly, and you got to work with him off the court, but we shall see. Oklahoma City, I think, is the best option that I heard. So we'll go 3-3 to question 7. And yes, we have reached the NBA Final Four. We are in the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. We've got the Kawhi-less Clippers. We've got the offensively challenged, but give them some credit, they've gotten through Milwaukee. We've got red-hot Phoenix. And then there's just flat-out stunning Atlanta. Nobody had the Hawks here. And this is just different for NBA fans right now. There are no Lakers. Your marquee Kevin Durant is out. I'm asking, what should fans be rooting for their NBA Finals? Because, hey, it's going to be something new. And what would be the best matchup for fans to watch come the NBA Finals? Gabrielle, you are up in question 7 for the win.
Okay, well, for starters, fans should be rooting for all game 7s because the most of this, as much of this as possible before summer. I mean, yes, you can watch baseball, but as much of this as possible before summer without the NBA. I personally am rooting for the Bucks. I love Giannis. I love Kareem, and he was a Buck before he was a Laker. But, honestly, I like Atlanta. I think that no one, look, I'm Bostonian. I root for the underdog. I know that sounds crazy with the Patriots, but I'm not a football fan. I like the underdog. I'm rooting for Atlanta because they're a surprise, and I like an upset. I like, shocking the world. So I'm going with Atlanta, but honestly, game 7's all around because as much of this as possible, it's been so much fun to watch.
Who do you got in the West?
Devin Booker is so good. And I look, I don't like the Kardashians. So the fact that he's dating one of them makes me like him a little bit less, but he's so good.
All right. So Atlanta, Phoenix. Adam, what's our NBA Finals matchup that'll move the fan needle, if you will?
I'm going to pull off Trae Young's signature move here and stop short at 26 seconds so Carman will bang into me. I'm in the tank for Bucks Suns, and I'd be happy with either of those teams taking it home. It's been a longer road for this particular Milwaukee team, and I would enjoy seeing Giannis get his redemption. But then again, Chris Paul is going to have far fewer chances moving forward to capture his first ring unless he goes to the Knicks and brings Zion with him. Give me the Suns for the sake of CP3's storyline, and also because they're an extremely well-built basketball team that proves you can do it organically as long as you add the right superstar at the finish line. Ayton, right call. Bridges, right call. Booker, right call. Player development, and then Chris Paul comes in at the very end and is like, now I got this. I'm finishing the job. That's it for me.
That was good. That was a nice, strong finish by Weinrib, who I think if there's one person right now, a vet that you're rooting for in the NBA playoffs, you can get behind Chris Paul. And by the way, for NBA fans, hey, this is the guy that you've seen in a zillion commercials all these years. Remember him? You might want now.
The real Chris Paul.
Now you're getting to see him in the NBA Finals. I love where Gabrielle's going too with the Atlanta Hawks being the surprise story. Adam, if you were almost about to sell the story of Trae Young, which I think would be sweet for the league. He's been phenomenal in the playoffs, taking on all the haters and everything. But I guess I'm leaning towards the Chris Paul wholesome veteran story in the end. That's a nice warm thing for the NBA to get behind in the end. Gabrielle's nodding. She doesn't hate me for this reasoning.
No, I 100% agree. I mean, look, he's Chris Paul.
He's Chris Paul. So Adam, I think this ends a little bit of a losing streak for you. Congratulations. You are in the winners column today. Way to go, my friend.
It's like Kershaw with the Dodgers. You want it for him, even if he's not, whatever. By the way, Jacob deGrom just got checked for foreign substances and passed the inspection. So
he supposedly is, I guess, is one that they're not as likely to flag, even though they got to check everybody. So that's interesting that deGrom indeed.
He got his cap checked. He got his, he got everything checked. He passed inspection. It's lame as hell, but he, just saw the video come up on my Twitter timeline. So
might not be the same for Garrett Cole or a bunch of others. Ryan Tepera, I see you out of the Cubs bullpen. You haven't given up a run in a month. How did that happen? All right.
I mean, if you caught Cole crying about it though, like he's clearly not using now because he was sobbing in the post game about my beloved hands or whatever. Like I think he's done.
Thank you, everybody, for watching today. Gabrielle, thanks for making your debut. Great job.
Anytime. It was so fun.
And Adam, congratulations, and thank you for being here as well as per always.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I think I don't know how many times in a row I held, but winning feels wonderful.
And thank you, by the way, to everybody for helping out today. We always appreciate all the support. Most important, again, thank you for watching. 5 Eastern, 4 Central. That is when Sport in Order comes to you on your Monday afternoon. We will see you next time.